Hello and welcome back to the Chascade podcast, where I discuss media in the forms of discussions and reviews. I'm your host, Drinking Thomas Shoes, and today I'm discussing a film I watched yesterday. I was meant to record it straight after watching it, but I was that tired, I never got a chance to do it. So I kind of just went, I'm going to try and cram it in this morning before I record with Alex. And that is Moana 2, the latest Disney sequel, and the follow-up to the my mindset's staying 2016 hit movie, Moana, which obviously I watched the day before watching, and I absolutely loved it again. I was like, this movie is really good. I just wanted to refresh my mind before watching the new one on the first one's story, the characters, and the quality of the animation. And obviously I went and checked out the second one, which, I only went, obviously, really, because I wanted to take my niece to her first cinema showing, and that's what I did. But I forgot the dread of watching a kids movie on a day when kids can actually attend, because kids half the time do not know to shut up while watching a movie. But it's just what it is. It's a kids film. You're going to have kids attending, but it's always a negative when you have ones that you can hear talking constantly. But other than that, yeah, so obviously I checked it out, and I wasn't blown away. I think obviously a lot of the critics and a lot of the reviews on this movie itself have been very mixed compared to the first one. A lot of people weren't as struck by how good the movie was. Don't get me wrong, it's a good movie. It's fun. I mean, I was laughing a lot with the jokes. I did like one of the new characters introduced, obviously, in terms of the protagonist of the movie. There's one they introduced, this old guy, which was quite funny. Other than that, the other characters were kind of meh. But as an overall, I still think it was a very fun movie. It just wasn't as outstanding as the original Moana was. And I know, obviously, I was looking at some of the reviews, and I saw people pointing out the fact that it took a while before, obviously, they reunited the two main characters of the movie, obviously Moana and Maui, obviously the Rock's character, and the actress's name is gone off the top of my head, sorry. Obviously, it took a while before they got reunited, because it was pretty much like midway through towards the back end of the movie when, they finally came back together. And I can understand why people probably were a bit annoyed, because they're like the best parts of the original movie, their chemistry, their bickering. So it would have been cool to have seen a lot more of them together from the start. But obviously, I think in that sense, you can probably kind of tell then that this was originally a TV show, since obviously originally Disney pushed for Moana, obviously the follow-up to be obviously a TV series on Disney Plus. But then, like, during production, they shifted and was like, no, let's make a movie out of this, and then got The Rock on board. So I'm interested to see how much they actually got done prior to this switch, because I'm guessing a lot of what is here is, technically speaking, what would have been from that TV show, and they've managed to mash it up into a big movie. So I'm interested to see how much they actually did prior. I know they just started voice work on this series before they switched it to a movie, so I don't know how much the animation actually had completed prior to that. So, but you can kind of tell that this is. I think a lot of people said it reminds them of like old school Disney sequels, like the straight to DVD, straight to video type ones, the ones that aren't as good as the first ones, but are okay. And that's kind of I kind of agree with that, because obviously, if I look at my mind going to my favorite, obviously, of the Disney ones that got these straight to DVD/video sequels, Lilo and Stitch, absolutely love the first one. But then the sequel, so the second, obviously the Stitch spin-off, which then span off into the TV show, and then the Leroy and Stitch spin-off from the TV show, which wrapped it all up. They weren't, for me, as like great as the first one, because I absolutely love the first one. But those were just not the same level for me. Like, they were still high, they just weren't the same level. And to me, that's what this is. It's a step back from the first one, but it's still not, multiple steps back like some straight to some movie sequels can be. So it's just one of those ones where it has elements that are really interesting, but it has stuff that does hinder it in comparison to that first one. I think obviously they're taking so long to get the two main characters together is one of them. And I do, obviously, on first listening, the soundtrack for me isn't as good. So a lot of the tunes aren't as memorable as the first one. I think the only one that I could say was cool, maybe because I liked the visuals of it, was obviously the Maui one for this one, the Chi Hu song. Like, that for me is probably the one that stands out the most. I'm hoping on re-listens I'm going to enjoy it more, because when I obviously watched the movie Wish, I think did I watch it last year or did I watch it earlier this year? I think I watched it earlier this year. When I rewatched that, obviously same mindset in regards to this. It's one of those ones where it was good, it just wasn't wow. And the same with the soundtrack, I wasn't blown away with it. But on re-listens, I have grown to like 3 of the tracks from that movie more. So I'm hoping with this, it's the same thing. Obviously, on first glance, I'm just like, there's this one that I like probably the most out of all the songs, but the rest are just average. I'm hoping, obviously, the more I listen to it, the more I'm going to enjoy some of the other songs, because obviously there are some decent other songs in there. Like, I think it's the one that's meant to be the big Moana song for this one, which is the song called Beyond, I believe it is. Obviously, that's meant to be the big How Far Go equivalent song for this. Whereas obviously Chihu's meant to be the what can I say, but you're welcome, obviously, replacement. So I'm hoping that I enjoy the song Beyond more, obviously, on later listens than I did on the original listen. But let's say other than obviously that, it's still good. Obviously the plot's interesting. Obviously they do go the route of a lot of sequels by bringing in more characters, because obviously she has to go on this quest to again break a curse. It's pretty much the same idea as go and break a curse by stepping foot on a island that is basically it's causing obviously a lot of problems in terms of trying to find other islands and other people, other wayfinders. But if you break this curse, you can have them connect a lot easier, which is obviously what this island wants to do. Whereas obviously the first one is the case of obviously we need to break this curse because it's causing essentially this type of plague that's affecting our food sources, so our farming, our fishing. So it's the exact same idea. In this, obviously, you got, whereas in the first obviously one, it was just her trying to break it until she dragged Maui into it. This one, it was more the case of they were both in their ways trying to deal with the situation, because obviously she's trying to break this curse. He's then trying to get to the cause of the curse before obviously they have to unite to break the curse, because obviously the island is underwater, so no human can technically set foot on it. So he would have to bring the island up for her to do that. So there's a lot at stake, and obviously there is a big villain this time. You don't really get to see him during this movie. That's more saved for an end credit tease for a third movie. Slight spoiler there, but not too much of a spoiler. So it's more of the threat of him is overshadowing the movie. Similar to Thanos in Avengers Assemble. Obviously, he's not the big villain, but it's his power that's causing the attack. So it's obviously his army that's dealing the damage it's to the city. So it's the same with this, because obviously he's kind of like a giant storm essentially over this island, and obviously they've got to get through said storm to get the island. But he's got to try and stop the humans from touching the island, because if a single human can touch the island, then the curse will be broken. So obviously this one as well, obviously, it introduces a lot of other characters. So obviously, say you got the old guy, you've got someone who's like basically she can't stop fixing what she's made, and then you got a guy who's essentially the Maui surrogate for the movie, in the sense of he's the one that tells the stories, but on top of that, he's also a big Maui fanboy that basically cannot get enough of him. And obviously when they do meet, he kind of creeps Maui out to the point of just like, yeah, this guy's creeping me out, which is quite funny. It does lead to a lot of jokes. And then obviously on top of that, you've got this bat goddess. She has loads of, like this little bat armor, which she's quite intriguing. She doesn't play as big of a part as I thought she was going to. Obviously, it's similar to some of the other plot twists that have taken place in the Moana franchise so far with her character. So she's not like she's built kind of like a major antagonist, but then there's a lot of like stuff that goes on which kind of shifts that a bit when they finally have her and Moana meet. So there's a lot going on there, and obviously on top of that, so you got this big bad guy. We get to actually see a visual of him properly at the end, rather than just like a storm cloud. It kind of reminds me of fucking Galactus and obviously the Green Lantern villain from obviously the Rise of Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four, and the obviously Ryan Reynolds box office disaster Green Lantern movie. With the fact that they're kind of like storm clouds, but there's obviously an actual big villain behind said storm clouds. So it kind of gives me that sort of vibe, but obviously it does it better because it teases that technically that was just kind of like a defense. It was his defense. That wasn't actually him properly. It was just like him him summoning a storm to stop anything from happening. So it's obviously it's not as bad as those two sequences. It's just like that's a setup because he's actually here and he's going to take a part more than likely in Moana 3 when he's, you know, doing the Thanos of fine, I'll do it myself situation. And so it's I would like a third one because hopefully they can fix get back to the level of the first movie. So hopefully this is just the case that the middle one's just the step back, but they realise, okay, we can fix this, fix that, fix this, and we can go back to the same quality of the first one. Because I feel like the third one's inevitable. The movie has made so much money at the box office already on its opening weekend. I think it's like I think domestically it's like the second biggest opening of the year behind Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't think it's obviously going to go as pretty as high as those movies because I feel like Deadpool and Wolverine Inside Out 2 are probably going to stay, 1 and 2 in the obviously box office charts. But I feel like it has got a good chance of going up because realistically, there's obviously other than obviously Wicked and Gladiator, there's nothing really coming out now until Craven and Lord of the Rings comes out. And I don't think they're going to be these massive box office hits. I mean, I'm pretty certain Craven's projected like to really bad at the box office. So realistically, the next big movies are probably Mufasa and Sonic. So realistically, Moana's got a couple of weeks of at least trying to earn that money. And I feel like it's going to do like a decent whack at the box office. How much did the first one make at the box office? Let's have a look. I don't know how much the first one walked away. It was 2016, I thought it was right. First one walked away with $687.2 million at the box office, which I think is a pretty reasonable amount, really, for a first movie. And the second one so far is half of that. It's like 386. Well, it's not exactly half of it, but it's almost at 400 already. And I feel like again that the shows obviously it is a big deal, though it's not been a massive hit in terms of review wise like the first one was. It's still a big deal. It's still got this fan base that want to go check it out. And as I say, I enjoyed it. I've got a few issues with it, but I still think it's a really solid Disney sequel. That has definitely got me looking forward to a third one. And as I say, it brings back the characters that you love from the first one, and it brings in new characters. Obviously, you got Moana's got a sister now, little tiny sister, which she's part of more of the humorous moments when she's going crazy half the time, and it's just a part of very emotional moments. I mean, the big final sequence of this movie is so emotional. It's really well done. I do love the Force ghosts. Once again, there's more of them in this one than there was the first one. So the first one, it was mainly just Moana's grandma. Whereas this one, there's a lot more with the Force ghosts. I'm just going to keep referring to them as the spirits of the ancestors. So there's a lot more with them this time, which is pretty cool. I like the fact that obviously, because this one goes back to the Wayfinder from the first one. I'm pretty sure he was in the first one. Obviously, the really famous Wayfinder of the past. Who obviously his spirit, because obviously everyone, when they die in this universe, they have a spirit animal. So obviously Moana's grandma's the manta ray, I think it was. Or is it stingray? I always get them mixed up. I'm pretty certain it was a manta ray. If I'm wrong, shout at me. But obviously the Master Wayfinder, I'm pretty certain his like spirit animal is like a massive whale shark, which is pretty fucking cool. And it's obviously really a good visual treat. I think the animation is really good in this, and obviously these spirit sequences they are really good to watch because of this solid animation that's behind it. But yeah, so obviously, as I say, you got stuff to do with that. They bring the coconut characters back, and they do a lot more with them this time, rather than just that one sequence where there's like, oh, these are bad guys, and they're trying to dart them with like these fucking poisonous blow darts. So this one does a lot more with them because you actually learn what's created said poison, and you actually learn what can create the antidote for it, which is pretty cool. So this weird like creature. So there's a lot more with them. There's a lot more to them for the story going forward than just being these villainous coconut pirates that there were in the first one. So I like that they've expanded on characters from the first one and done a bit more with them than it did in that one. I still think they're like very inspired by Mad Max with the drum beating and obviously the war paint. And there's literally a sequence in this when one of them clearly does like a witness me moment from Mad Max before sacrificing themselves. I'm very clearly like that's very clearly inspired by Mad Max because obviously Mad Max came in 2015. There's got to be some level of inspiration. Sorry, 2015, 2014, like a year or two before this. There's got to be some level of inspiration from that. I could be wrong because obviously, as I say, animation takes a while to make, so they maybe have worked on it before they even knew of the witness me moments. It just could be just a massive fucking coincidence that these two share the same sort of idea in terms of chase sequences, like musical drum beats and ravenous creatures. But obviously, this one in terms of the witness me moments definitely got to. If that was an accident with the first one, they've definitely got to look at it and go, okay, we can maybe just use that for this one and just lean into it more. It was an accident with the first one, but we got a better chance of leaning into it and doing some more humour with it in this one. So it'll be interesting to know if they did that. But yeah, obviously, as you can tell, probably that it was originally an animation in terms of the story. That say most of these follow-ups that I tend to do these, let's say animation series, most of these follow-ups that are like direct to DVD ones back in the day, and these obviously follow-up animation series obviously always introduced more characters to accompany the main character, and you kind of feel that with the idea of them going, oh, you need to take these characters with you, so you kind of feel where this originally came from rather than just being a straight up let's craft a movie sequel out of this. But I don't think it hurts it too much. Like, it does a bit, but not to the point of you're looking at, oh, this is like a really bad follow-up. This is like ruined the first one. Like, yeah, it's not as good as the first one, but to me, it doesn't ruin the quality and the love you get from that first movie. It just expands upon it. Yes, it might not expand on it to the exact same level of enjoyment, but it expands upon it enough that you still are enjoyed, you still are entertained, you still are laughing, your toes are still tapping enough to the music, and you're still invested enough to go, obviously, and walk away at the end and go, I'm looking forward to a third one. I want to see where they go with this. And obviously, the good thing with a third one, hopefully they stick to the idea of straight away crafting it as a movie and not, making a TV show and then halfway through development going, no, movie time. So hopefully this time around they stick with the idea of let's go with a third one. I still find it weird that they went with a TV show originally and not just going straight away for a movie. I'm guessing it's probably just the idea they wanted to stock up Disney Plus with content, but obviously when they obviously like they did with obviously the Monster Inc. / Monster University follow up, the Monsters at Work series, that was them trying to stock up the obviously Disney Plus catalog with IP based on what they've already done. So maybe it's just there was that mindset originally of just it didn't like take off massively at the box office before it was. It wasn't like a Frozen success of like it was like this massive deal, but it's enough for, obviously it had enough of an audience to go, okay, let's craft some sort of sequel. But then I'm guessing obviously there was enough outcry and people they obviously were talking about it as a series and people were like, oh, why not a movie? I'm guessing there was enough of that conversation / the fact that Disney Plus now trying to dial back on some of the content a bit because obviously how much they're spending on it, that they were just wanted to shift it more into a theatrical release. So it was just weird that they went for that series originally. But I can kind of probably, as I say, I can kind of see probably why it was originally crafted as a show. But then, as I say, I can at the same time I can see why it was kind of converted into a movie. But I'm just hoping that they don't go that route with a third one, because as I say, I feel like a third one's inevitable, and I feel like they'll learn the lesson and just straight away craft it as a full-fledged movie. And I feel like it's more likely to come out as a much better experience than the second one, review-wise. I still feel like it hasn't, like, forgotten, like, Rotten Tomatoes real quick. Obviously, the reviews for it, critically 65, but audience like 87. And so if you compare that to the first movie, the first one was 95 critically and 89 audience-wise, so it's not too far off audience-wise. The audience are very close on these, but obviously it's just not. Obviously, critics are eyeing it up the same. So it's just one of those things where it's been hampered by the fact it was a TV series first and it's been converted into a movie. So that's probably why it's hampered. Maybe if they kept it as a series, it probably would have got better reviews, because it felt like it was made for a series. Whereas maybe if they just straight away just crafted this as a full movie rather than working as a show first, it probably would have got better reviews on a movie standpoint. So it's one of those things where it probably would have worked sticking as a TV show than going to a movie, and then maybe a third one, technically a second one, could have been a movie. But I still think it worked as it was. It was still decent. It was still a fun, entertaining kids movie, and I feel like that's what some critics don't see it as. It's, they like with Mario, they bash the hell out of that movie, but in the long run, it's still a kids movie. Yes, it may take a step back from the previous one, which you absolutely fucking adored, but it's still a kids movie. Why are you fucking being so, ripping it apart, being like, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit? It's a kids fucking movie. And that's where the audience come in and go, okay, we're going to get a better score because we're seeing it as a kids movie, not this, Oscar contending movie. But still, I feel like if I was to go, as a quick sum up, fun, beautifully animated, music's okay. Hopefully, re-listens will get me more into the music. Hopefully, a rewatch will maybe get me a bit more invested in the movie. Characters are good. Wish they did more with the Moana Maui stuff, because when they finally got into the second half of the movie, it was excellent. And obviously the last pivotal moment, during obviously the quest for breaking the curse, is really emotional, and it works well because of these two characters. And I wish I got more time with these two characters throughout this movie, rather than keeping them separate. So other than that, I still think it's a solid movie. Yes, it's a step back from the first one, which I'm hoping to do next year. I might either do it by myself, or if I can get Alex on, we might both sit down and watch it. I mean, I still need to watch it with Hayden, the first one, because she's just gone into the second one with no knowledge of the first one. Give her opinion on it to me, and just been like, I can't really say too much because I haven't seen the original movie, so I'm gonna sit down and watch it with her at some point. But I feel like, as I say, it is that step back. It is probably like a point step back than that first one. So, I've been debating like somewhere around 8.4, because I've been obviously looking at my current list for this year. So, do I prefer it to those? They were good. Because my mind says do I prefer this movie to Smile 2 and Under Paris, because I really like those as horror movies. Or would I put them on the same sort of level? I'm gonna put it on the same level. I'm gonna give it an 8.4 out of 10. I say the fact that the music isn't as good as the first one, and there's a few little issues that I have with it, does hold it back from being the same level as that first one. Because I said the first one was really high for me. I really enjoyed it. It's over 9.5 easily. obviously off memory of recently rewatching it. When I sit down and rewatch it next year, it might not be that, but that's just how it is. So I feel like an 8.4 is reasonable. As I say, I'm on the line of now which do I prefer more, Under Paris Smile 2 or this. So it's going to be one of those ones. I feel like it just sits behind The Beekeeper because I had a lot of fun with that movie at the start of this year. So yeah, I feel like an 8.4 out of 10 is where this movie is at for me. So I'm just really hoping that when I listen to the soundtrack, I'll enjoy the songs more than I actually did on my first watch of it. I still think it's a good movie. It's got a good story. It's got a good setup for a third one. The characters are still fun. Animation's still really good. And it's still, it's still Moana. She's still a really interesting character to follow. And as I said, they've expanded more on her character now from where she was in that first one. Obviously, where we left her off in that first one, obviously, where she's at now is a lot more further developed than she was then, which is really cool for a character. Obviously, seeing this character development from the start of the first movie to the end of this one is excellent, and that's a really good thing heading into that third one where they can develop our character even more. So, yeah, I'd say I'm looking forward to the live action one as well. I'm looking forward to how they handle the live action one with The Rock coming back, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. So, yeah, obviously, if you've watched Moana 2, put your thoughts in the comments below. Did you like it? Didn't you like it? What didn't you like? What did you like? And do you think it would have worked better just keeping it as a TV show and then maybe doing the next, obviously the third movie as the second movie technically? Or do you think it was fine them converting it into the movie and giving you a movie experience rather than just a straight to Disney Plus TV series? For me, I'm thinking it's probably better as a movie because you can actually get physical media. Because Disney Plus have been known recently to get rid of TV shows they've made and just take them off their services. Not just Disney Plus, a lot of other companies have been doing it as well. HBO, Paramount have been doing it. Netflix have been doing it. So being able to probably buy this like a kids movie, especially if you've got kids or you've got grandkids, nieces, nephews, it's probably a good thing. Being able to have this go to cinema and be able to buy a physical copy of it, because if they took off Disney Plus and they really love this movie, you're fucked and you won't hear the end of it. So yeah, obviously I've got Alex the next 2 weeks on the podcast. I'm actually going to sit down with him very shortly to review one of them, and I believe the next one up is the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Wanted to do this for 2 years, finally doing it. 50-50 on what the following week's going to be. But yes, I'm happy to have him for 2 weeks on the podcast. And yeah, obviously you can check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, Amazon Music, etc., etc. And as I say, do check in next week for the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special with Alex. And yeah, I feel like that covers everything. Obviously, don't forget to check out the Game of the Year 2024 voting I did last week with Connor. And yeah, I do hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. If you like what you've seen, don't be afraid to throw us a little like and subscribe. That's always very appreciated over here. And, well, I'll see you on the next video.